All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Cyber Social Hub Hubcast. For those of you who've never been to one of the Hubcasts before, it is, and it's funny when I tell people, they go, "What exactly is the Hubcast?" I'm like, the best way to describe it is, you ever seen like a really horrible late night talk show? Yeah, we're it essentially, but we do it during the day because I'm old and I can't stay up late anymore. So that's really what it is. But we talk a lot of digital investigation stuff, and sometimes we just go off on crazy tangents depending on what you guys want to talk about. For those of you who haven't attended, we're using, or in a while, we're using a different platform now. You probably noticed. And it's like a mini production studio, just for the record here. But you do have a chat somewhere along the side. It should be along the right column somewhere, or if it's minimized, it'll be a little chat bubble, and you can pop it back up for you guys. And feel free to say hi, and tell us where you're from today. I know there's I don't know how many of you guys are in there right now, 20 some ish in there, 26 of you right now. So just pop into chat where you guys are from, state, wherever it might be. And say hi. Also, I'm curious, for those of you who saw this or wherever you saw it, whether it was on, Megan says we can't afford Conan O'Brien level of talk show. No, I can do the little cutouts with the lips and stuff though. We do have that kind of budget for ours. Poor Jared just sitting there. Oh my gosh, what I get into. Hey, welcome everybody. Oh, there's Amber from Tennessee. Awesome. Yeah, I forgot we're like on and Jared, I forgot to tell you, we're about a 10 or 15 second delay. So that's why it took so long for everybody to start answering. When we're talking to you, Jared and I are actually already in the future by the time you guys hear these things. So again, chat's over there. So I'm going to run a quick poll here. If you haven't heard of Cyber Social Hub, are you a member of Cyber Social Hub? So that should have, bam, kicked up right away of it. Looks like a lot of people are. Jared, can you see the poll at all?
Yes, I can.
All right, I introduced you in just a minute. I'm sorry. Oh man, there's some people that aren't actually members. Great. We'll brainwash you and convince you to come on over to the dark side. We have cookies, so life's good over there. So wow, that is awesome. There's like 9 people that aren't members. I'd be curious where you guys heard about it. Was it on social? How'd you hear about the hub? If you guys pop that in chat, that'd be great too. Again, so what Cyber Social Hub is, and I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. And Jared, I hope it's not going to mess one that you had already pre-configured. I forgot all about that before we started here. But what Cyber Social Hub is essentially, it's a online community for digital examiners, right? So this should be sharing. Can you see it? Is it good? Is it running?
It's good on my end here.
Yeah. All right. There we go. So it's just that. So imagine like a Facebook, LinkedIn that's minus all of the noise. I can't say there's not bad memes in here, because there are occasional bad memes in here. Hey, look, there's Jared right there. And it's just essentially an online community for digital investigators. No matter what type of investigation that you're doing in there, whether you're an OSINT examiner, digital forensics, network forensics, whatever it is that you're doing, it's just a community for that. And we have various groups that you can join if you're interested, say, specifically in drone forensics, for example, cyber threat intelligence, cybersecurity. There's all sorts of things in here. There's some vendors in here as well. If you want to learn about their latest technologies, you can absolutely do that. We have an events calendar, and something we just added was this little area here. Now it's going to go out in our newsletter too. We've added this thing called DFIR Hacks, which is really all the information that you'd want for educational purposes, staying up on the latest trends here, articles in the industry, webinars, and even podcasts right here, our Hubcasts, where you can access all this stuff really easy. So it's just cybersecurity or cybersocialhub.com. Just pop in there and sign up. The account is absolutely 100% free. We'll never charge you. Occasionally you do get emails from us because we do have to pay for the servers that run the thing. But if you don't want any of those, you can just hit unsubscribe me, and you won't hear from us again. You will hear from the system, though. Obviously, if you get messages and stuff, it'll still email you, but it won't be any of our noise considered that way. So anyway, man, we got people from all over the place in here. Oh, DFIR Diva threw some stuff in there. That was nice of her. She is so nice. Mike says, I keep getting email spam, so I figured we'd find out what it's all about. Welcome, Mike. Hey, anyway, today, let's get to you, Jared. We got an interesting conversation today. I don't know that too many people are having this conversation because, myself, former law enforcement, 15 years, it's that macho or tough type thing. Right. And my guest here is a Marine. Right. And, you don't always like to talk about the stress when it comes to doing forensic exams, but, there's a lot of that involved in that. And Jared, I'm going to slaughter your last name, but Lubert, right?
That's perfect.
Hey, yep. Look at that. All right. With my Northern Ohio accent, I managed to get it. And you're representing Belkasoft here today. With a lot of the items that they might have to help reduce some stress. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, if you've not seen or been on one of the hubcasts before, it's really just kind of a fly by the seat of our pants type stuff. And sometimes there is alcohol involved. But something I did want to tell you, speaking of alcohol, and I know your background a little bit, is since you're coming on the hub and you're appearing here, we're going to, I'm going to send you one of these little guys. Did I show you this yet?
Oh, nice. Nice.
So it's it looks like a shot glass. Don't be deceived. And it says Cyber Social Hub Hubcast on it. You can't really see, but if you flipped it down here, it is an actual shell fired from an A-10 Warthog down at their training facilities. And it comes with this, I'm going to try not to knock over all of my junk. I got a bunch of these things up here. Hang on, I'm going to show you. Comes with this actual certification here to say that it was fired out of an A-10 Warthog. It's crazy, very isn't cool. It? It's a training round, so you're safe to drink out of. It's not, depleted uranium or anything. It won't grow you a third eye. At least I don't think it will. But
you've probably drank out of worse.
yeah, for sure. So we'll be sure to kick you guys one of those, and we're going to be giving some of these away too. I just ordered a bunch in. You just have to bear with me. It seems to take forever to get anything in right now with all the craziness going around the planet. But let's talk about forensic exams and some of the stresses that go along with it. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get involved in digital forensics or examinations?
Well, I don't want to say it just kind of fell into it, but I did. And I really had no idea what digital forensics was. I was just, doing the Marine Corps thing. And then I went in for a counseling with a really great team lead that I had at the time. And he says, hey, we got a lot of really, really smart, really good go guys here on this team. And they're all pretty good at something. And I'm going to need you to get really good at one thing. I was like, okay, all right. Like, I hear what you're saying and I'll run with it. He's like, identify a gap, become really good at it, focus on that one thing. So I did, identified a gap. We kept getting requests from people to do phone analysis, application analysis, and that kind of stuff for work. And we didn't actually have anything to do that, at the time. And so I was tasked with basically building a digital forensic lab on the team, and then going through all the training to get up to where I needed to be. And I say all the training. I feel like, there's so much training and I'm never going to have all the training, but I got a really good amount of training, which was, government training. So really good stuff. So anyways, that's kind of how I fell into it. And then a couple years down the road after doing it for a while, I ran into a really amazing attorney who also does digital forensics, and he's like, "Hey, I could really use some of your help on some things. I'm kind of overwhelmed with the caseload I have, and I could really use some assistance." And so I was like, "Okay, that's fine." He's like, "Have you ever thought about trying out your doing this on the outside of the government?" I was like, not really. I really haven't. I'm not really sure how that would work. Um, but then I kind of took the leap, started doing it on the outside as well. And then I started doing pre-sales engineers, tech support for Belkasoft the beginning of the year. And it's been really great. So it's not only am I meeting a lot of really great people, learning a lot of really great things, but I'm also staying in the know. And that's kind of, I feel like, what's most important in the field. So, things are constantly changing, things are constantly being updated. And I get to see all these problems come through my inbox. It's like, hey, this acquisition isn't working for some reason. Can you help me? It's like, yeah, I didn't know this was a problem. So then, do some investigating, figure out what's going on, and now I know a little bit more than I did the day before. So that's kind of a little bit of my history.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it seems to be an always an ever evolving industry. Something is always additional that you have to learn. So going around to the various shows and events and keeping in touch, especially with other examiners, really important because I mean, I worked for a couple of large corporations that produce forensic software, and you know you just don't know everything. There's no way you can possibly do it, and the only way to do it is stay connected. And I think we do a good job of that, even at Cyber Social Hub. We try that, but most people in there are come from government law enforcement, which is still a great thing because I still keep my commission with the state of Ohio 12 years later for just in case. You never know. We might need it again. But in law enforcement, government aren't the most social type on those types of platforms. But, make sure you guys do reach out because, part of what Jared just said with, staying in the know is also staying connected because it can help you through a lot of the nonsense that's out there. And just the all around crap that you have to deal with. Now, back when I started digital forensics, which was 2000 ish or so, gosh, it seems like forever ago at this point. And Jared's thinking, well, dude, that was really forever ago. We didn't have a whole lot of choices out there. And I would say, gosh, at that point, it was 95% child images, horrible ones. I don't know what the proper. You and I had a meeting before, obviously the cast here about the proper terminology to call it. What do they call it now? I know what we called it when I was doing exams.
Yeah, so I know there was a big push for moving it from child pornography to child sexual abuse material.
Yeah, I mean, really, whatever you call it, it's a bunch of, and we're not on an FCC regulated channel, so it's a bunch of assholes that really need bad things to happen back to them for distributing. So whatever you call it was the the term, and that was really what it was. And I think, and let me get your take on it. If you have to sit in a lab and look at these things over and over again, I mean, that can cause some crazy stuff to happen in your head, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes a special kind of person to be able to sit at that desk, have that job, and knowing like the moment that they walk in to work that morning and when they leave that night, like what they're gonna be seeing, and in those images, what they're seeing. That's not gonna, they don't leave it at their desk. That's stuck in their head. A lot of times, and digital forensics examiners, investigators, law enforcement, well, more so the digital forensic examiners. When we typically think about us or them, we don't typically think, oh, those guys, they've seen some stuff. So we think military, we think law enforcement, we think PTSD. People who have been in that field, and a lot of digital forensic examiners are prior military or prior law enforcement, or still are law enforcement. So that's a lot more, I guess, a normal thing. So it's like, oh, they have PTSD from a war zone, or seeing some pretty messed up stuff on the streets. A lot of people don't think about digital forensic examiners like that, and again, it just takes a special type of person, and you only. It's kind of a really touchy subject there, but I feel for these types of people, and I think that's what we need to do here is kind of highlight this. And I know there are special people out there who are trying to highlight this, but it it takes a special type of person.
Yeah, and indeed it does. It's rough because I hate it. I was relieved when other crimes started happening digitally. I know that sounds like really bad, but so we could go and investigate other things, in addition to what we were looking at back then. But there are what do you think, other than obviously the thing we were just talking about? What do you think are some easy ways that digital investigators, examiners can help reduce some of the stress that they have going on?
Well, there's different types of stress, obviously, right? So I think today we're going to discuss probably some physical stress, some mental stress, uh, things that can reduce this. Is just making sure, as far as physical stress, um, make sure you take an hour or two out of your day for yourself. Go to the gym, go for a walk, go for a run, do something productive, get away from the computer, stand up, walk around, just take some you time. So I think that's as far as physical stress. And then obviously, as far as mental stress, counseling. There's counseling everywhere out there. I'm not BetterHelp. You can do that online from your desk. So take that second, talk to somebody, and it doesn't have to be like a formal counselor. It'll help to talk to friends, family about it too. I know a lot of times that investigators like to keep this kind of stuff to themselves, so they're not burdening other people, kind of with what they have to deal with every single day. So, it can lead to divorce, problems in the marriage, problems, all sorts of stuff. So just talking to someone, I think, is really the best thing we can do. Aside from that, I think one of the things we are going to cover today is kind of how certain forensic products will allow for the reduction of stress. Whether that is just enormous caseloads or CSAM type material.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to thinking about my own physical stress. I'm adjusting this crazy pillow that never stays in place on this chair that I'm in. That's one of isn't that one of the things you were going to talk about too? Is some of the environment and things that can make things a little bit better for the examiner.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, I mean, you just got to surround yourself with, obviously the right environment. So, if you need quiet space, probably secluded for most type of casework, what they call it, ergonomics. Oh, Frank. Yep. the Cards and the Cubs did really well this year. So yeah, sit upright in the chair. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. So just kind of prepare ourselves. It does. It gets stressful on the body sitting in the same position, especially people who like to move a whole lot. And I'm sitting here doing this in my chair. So get up, stretch, take some time for yourself, spin some fidgets.
Yeah, I always have a fidget nearby of something. I never should have gotten into 3D printing because now I print all kinds of stupid stuff that never need to be in existence. But it does help, sitting there, the spinning the stuff like you had mentioned. It's just little things to get your mind off of the screen. Because man, even what I do now, is trying to help coordinate some of the community and bring them into Cyber Social Hub and talk about these issues and things that are happening, then, I spend more time in front of the screen now than I think I ever did as a digital examiner. So,
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely. And then I'm not wearing them right now because, well, one, they look really goofy, but two, you can see my screen when I wear them. But having a pair of blue light glasses is really, probably strongly recommended. Anyways, even if you think you got really good eyes, I'm assuming that one day it's just going to take its toll on everybody.
I will be your example of that. I had some supervisors when I'd sit in the lab at the department, and I'd constantly be seeing them reading something, and they'd have to, reach way out here to see it, nonstop making fun of them. I turned 50 in August, and I'm constantly reaching back out there. Yeah, Doug. Yeah, old dudes unite, Doug. And it's just a little rough, and it does happen. And Jared, to the younger guys like yourself, it will happen. So yeah, take care of what you can now and early. Because the crap does go ugly. Literally, what I'm looking at now is, I used to work with a fairly, smaller screen or a laptop, something like that. I'm on like this massive 5K max screen that's freaking huge. And, it's not as bad as like my mom's phone that the words are like, 2 inches tall, but it's getting there.
The critter bugs.
Yeah, it's getting there. Hang on. I'm seeing people mess with me in chat over here. Harvey's messing with me. Yes, I'm alone in the dungeon down here. And yeah. But I do have a Millennium Falcon rug for those of you who haven't seen it yet. I know. Hold on, let the jealousy sink in for just a minute. You feel it? I feel it. All right, cool. All right, I'll move back here. So, Jared, what other things? Excuse me. What other things can we do to help reduce stress during exams?
Well, obviously, there's going to be some sort of deadline to complete your investigation. But, if you don't have to be in front of your computer, and I know a lot of times we get sucked into it, and it's just like a black hole. It's like, oh, I think I found something. And then you're spending the next 5 hours, you don't even realize it, dug down in some evidence trying to find something. So knowing when to take that break, knowing when, hey, I think I am just kind of digging in a black hole here, a nice rabbit hole. Set time limits for yourself. If you set a timer on your phone or something, so you're not stuck there, getting stuck there late at night, missing family time, whenever you're supposed to be off. Really, you need to make time for yourself. That's the biggest thing that I'll continue to stress. But other than like physical stress, again, it's just you gotta get out, gotta get away from the computer. The work will be there when you get back, unless obviously you're on a strict time constraint.
Yeah, it never seems to go away. It's like when you close one case, oh look, there's 5 more waiting for you, for sure. So I agree, especially with the backlogs now. And I'm going to delay this a little bit because I know it's going to take the chat room or the audience a couple seconds to get this from when I say it. But what's the average backlog that you guys are dealing with some of this, and that could cause some stress because you see it and it's coming in, and you're not going to touch that for, I don't know. I'd look at some things and I go, man, it's going to be like 6 months till I can get to that thing. And depending on what the case was, obviously, like, high priority cases, those kind of bump to the front, depending on what it is. But detectives and patrol or whoever, your boss in the corporate side, everything's a priority. There's nothing. And I think that could cause some big points of stress. There was just, like you had mentioned, try to take time for yourself, and that the caseload itself was just insane.
Yeah. Not only just taking the time for yourself, but, there's also, I've talked to people who have had, over 1,000 backlog devices. And it's just like, I don't know whether you're more stressed out for the amount of backlogs that you have, or if it's like, hey, maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you don't have the training you think you need in order to tackle these types of cases, and your phones are just piling up. So, you know, I'd say training is also another thing we can do to help us relieve stress, because a lot of the times we're stressing about the fear of the unknown. I don't know how I'm going to tackle this device. I don't know how I'm going to get that artifact, or, prove or disprove whatever's trying to, be made out as the argument. Take some training, study it up. There's plenty of really great people out in our community that are, giving free advice on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. There's free stuff out there. And I saw Diva comments in here a little bit earlier. She's got really good blog lists and articles, and a bunch of free and a bunch of affordable training. So like under $1,000 training that you can find. So take the training. What's the worst that's going to happen is you're going to learn something, even if it doesn't really apply to exactly what you're working on now. It may apply to something later.
Yep, absolutely. And, I've been in the industry a long time, and I still sit through talks at conferences. I was at a pretty awesome conference last week, and I think a couple other folks in here were at the same conference. It was an OSINT conference, and that really wasn't something I did. We conducted those types of investigations. We didn't necessarily call it OSINT when I was doing it. The training, or just the talks alone, were amazing. You pick up little pieces. It's not official training that you're technically going to, but you still learn. It's like, oh man, they're using that tool to achieve that. Maybe I should go check that out. And again, I don't know how much value you're going to get out of me here, but Jared, you're probably going to get some value out of some of the things that he's talking about. But even these little webinars, even if it's just running off to the side where you're conducting some work, you may pick up a piece of information to do. And some people will call that training, but it's just kind of a knowledge transfer, which some of us old dudes been around a little while. We're happy to help out where we can, for sure. Oh, hang on. Can you be the point of slowing down your process, taking off task? Hang on, I'm not sure. See, now I got to do one of these. Even though I'm on this like massive monitor, I still got to do one of these. Focused to the point of slowing down your process and taking off task. Jared, you want to take that?
Yeah. Can you be too detailed and focused to the point of slowing down your process and taking off task? Yeah, I would say you definitely can. But again, that's going to be, you have to know your limit. So if you know you have a specific deadline, and like, obviously you need to know for certain what it is you're looking at. But you're going to slow down your process, and that when that process or that assignment is done, I would say like that's whenever you've deemed it to be done. They're not going to take I want to say half-butt product here because you felt like you need to slow down your process of your examination. They're either going to have to find somebody who just says, yeah, I'll get it done, and just, without thinking about it, does it. Or they're going to let you do what you need to do to make sure that the evidence that you're focusing on, you're investigating, is correct. So yeah, I guess you could be too detailed and focused to the point of slowing down your whole forensic process and investigation. But you just got to know yourself and try to improve, your own habits of, hey, yeah, I'm going down a rabbit hole. It's time to pull myself back and stay focused on the main objective, because we're always looking for something more than what we're asked to actually present as findings. So I know if I find what I'm looking for really quick, but I think that maybe I can find more, then I'll dive, super deep into the artifacts and try to pull them apart and see if there's something I'm missing. And that's a fault of mine, where I spend way too much time, where I could probably be spending more family time.
Yeah, and it gets crazy. I remember spending tons of hours sometimes in in the lab, and it's just managing that is always kind of a challenge for sure. So what other things can we do to help reduce some of the stress that's out there? Is there other tricks and tips that we can utilize during the examination process besides, walking away? Is there some of the things that we can have in our environment?
Yeah, like you were showing your little fidget spinners, your little, things, stress balls on your desk, uh, having friends around to talk to and kind of get you out of the world of your investigation for a bit. Uh, and I don't know if this is kind of where you want to jump into, how specific forensic tools can potentially, make these stressors a little bit less stressful for us. But there are forensic products out there that have the ability to speed up or only parse specific amount of artifacts. So say you have terabytes of data that you need to comb through, and the I guess the question of the case is like, okay, so here's say 2 or 3 terabytes worth of data, find evil or find bad. So that's my least favorite thing. It's like, hey, something bad happened on this. Can you figure it out? Because then I'm starting from scratch, right? But there's forensic processes, there's triage, specific tools which will pull out typically, the most interesting artifacts for investigators for like instant response, malware, picture analysis, skin tone, that kind of stuff, to kind of try to help you save time. Something as simple as predefined searches, which whenever we actually I have some examples inside the product that I will show you whenever we're ready to do that.
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about that here in just a few seconds. Absolutely. Does anyone in the audience here? I know you guys are still hanging out, so we haven't totally disrupted you guys. But if you guys have tips and tricks and stuff, things that you do to kind of relax your mind, ease your mind on some of this craziness. And I know like Harvey in here and Doug, I know both those guys personally. I know Amber's hiding in here somewhere too, and not to say that some people have been in the industry a long time and some haven't, but obviously we like to hear from those of you who've been in the industry for a while, some of the things that you do personally besides drink or anything. That's not the kind of solution. As I say that as I'm fidgeting with this shot glass.
Yeah, that could be that's a depressant, I guess. So what kind of music do you guys like to listen to? Maybe music's a de-stressor. Some people like instrumentals. Some people personally, I like to turn on some like violin covers of some recent music. What do you guys like to listen to during examinations?
That's one thing. It'd be interesting to see what everybody comes up with. Yeah, Doug. By the way, if you don't know Doug, Doug, I've known how long, for many years. He has these most elaborate board games I've ever seen in my life. They make like standard, what I'm like Connect 4 look like for little kids, which it really is. But those are the kind of games I'm good at. And he's actually designed video games, or not video games, sorry, board games too. And the last time I talked to him, he was in the process of it. I don't know if that ever came out. So yeah, I mean, that's I guess kind of along that lines is hobbies. Maybe have something that you really enjoy. Mine used to be developing in Python and stuff, and now I have 3 kids, and that's really where my attention's at, is there. And oh man, we're getting all kinds of chat stuff here. I'm trying to scroll back up and catch this. So Amber bakes and barbecue. Yeah, she's a DFIR foodie.
I'm gonna have to go do some examinations with her.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's always really good. She had, she makes, is it jams or something like that? I can't remember that, but man, they're really good. Look at all the old people talk about. Now you've talked about food, lost the whole audience. It's all gone. Completely gone. What is here? What does Anna say? Oh yeah, Lindsay Sterling. Yeah, if you haven't heard of her yet, that is that's pretty amazing. Go look her up on YouTube. Personally, I like the nerdy stuff she does. The one, I think she did one with like Star Wars or something. Not that I'm a big fan or anything with Mandalorian thing. And there's a Stormtrooper helmet literally sitting right there. But yeah, she did some Star Wars stuff. So that's really good. But Jared, I will cure your thing with the violin. My 10-year-old daughter just started playing violin. So if you ever need to hate the sound of a violin, man, just, pop by when there's a practice going on. I found a new use, because I don't get a lot of use. There's a sound booth. Those of you, you can kind of see it. It's, hang on, right here. See this black edge right here on my screen? There is that's a sound booth. It's a full glass window over here. You can't really see it. I can't move my monitor. It's a big 5K thing, but my daughter's going to practice in there now. I used to do voiceover work in there. Now she's going to practice violin in there. So it's pretty awesome. So Eric, yeah, the popcorn machine, yeah. Yeah, it's actually real working. We do use the thing. So the popcorn machine. Berry and pepper. That's right. I think you owe me one of those too, Amber, for that too. So Jared, what else? What else do you do to alleviate stress? You have obviously you listen to music. You said. I could never really listen to music. I think it's because my brain's just so simple. It really has a single threaded processor. One thing. If something else is coming in, I'm like, squirrel. What?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And when I listen to music, it has to be instrumental, because throwing words in to the mix while I'm trying to focus just doesn't work out for me. Put on my headphones, zone out the rest of the world. I listen to music, and the music has to match. It has to match like the investigation I'm in. So if it's something that's just kind of easy breezy, and I know what I'm doing, I don't have to spend like a whole time like really thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put something on that's just kind of free flowing, and if it's something pretty intense where I'm like 2 inches away from the screen trying to figure out the next step, it might be something a little more intenseful. Let's see, we got a question here in the chat. Jared, would you make your breaks on a schedule or at a time of your choosing instead, or a mix? I guess that depends if what your typical day looks like. I mean, are you from 06, 07 in the morning to 07 at night in front of a screen? If that's the case, and you're always in front of the screen for those hours, make a schedule break. Say, yeah, hey, at this time I'm going to go to lunch. This time I'm going to go take a snack or a walk or something. But if you're like, hey, I just started a new case and it came in 45 minutes before I was supposed to leave for the day, and you're working through the middle of the night or something, sporadic. Just know your limits and get up when you can.
Yep, no, that's really good advice. I switched to, and obviously I don't do any exams anymore. I give people my opinion more than anything now, which means nothing. But oh man, you listen to audiobook? Sorry, I'm completely distracted now. See, the audiobook, I could not. There's no way. I have a very single-threaded brain. I'd be listening to the audiobook and not doing my exam. But I actually now what I have to do to get things done, or to remind myself to take breaks, is literally put it on my calendar, block out time of, hey, this is when I'm doing this task or this specific thing. Now, it's not necessarily going to work in an investigation. I don't think it might. If you are parsing a specific artifact, and it's like, we're going to dig through these, because, you could be looking through thousands upon thousands of images and not find what you want. But, give yourself an allotment or a time that, say today, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Google Calendars has kind of been a lifesaver for this. I've actually started doing scheduling meetings with my wife to be at the house. I'm like, hey,
yeah, I don't want to go down too far down that rabbit hole.
We're doing a monthly budget meeting on this day, so put the kids to bed a little bit early, and I'll make sure that I get an event reminder on my computer.
I'm just waiting for the chat at this point to let
Send
loose. I'll just leave that to them as we go through here. Like I said, it's about a 15-second wait before it'll start coming in. But yeah, and I know there's also being cognizant of time here. Gosh, man, the time goes by so fast when we do these things. Just conversation. There's some things you can do within your software, and that can be done or can't be done depending on what you're using, and everything's a little bit different. But obviously you're here representing Belkasoft. which if I've known Yuri and the crew over at Belkasoft for more years than I'd like to even mention. Great group of people over there. Show us what has been implemented there to kind of give an idea of some of the things that you can do to reduce that level of stress or to make things a little bit easier for you. I'm stalling and letting you get set up with your screen share because I know I killed it. I see that now. So I apologize.
Super quick. Let me know when everybody is able to see this.
Okay, it's up on my end.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and roll with it. So yeah, so right now what I'm going to do is kind of show you a few ways that some of these stressors, and definitely not all, right? And I can't even begin to think about how many stressors there are, both physically and mental, during investigations. But I am going to show you what I know is available through our product and how that may be able to assist. So the first thing I'm going to start with is going to be the time saver, right? So this is the main screen of Belkasoft X here. If I select settings, you'll see that Belkasoft X automatically picks out how many CPUs and cores that your forensic workstation has, as well as memory. So it picks up on that, and it allows you to dictate, hey, I've got so many things running on my forensic workstation. I don't want to blow my workstation up, so I'm going to send it down and say, hey, process this case off 4 cores. And then we recommend 2 gigs per core. So you can set that, but you can really set this whatever you want, right? So if you want to maximize and try to get it done a little bit quicker. So Patrick Eller of Metadata Forensics, he actually had a 64 core Threadripper and was able to dedicate 62 cores to processing his case, and he said it was just wicked fast. So that's one way that you can potentially speed up the processing of your case. Now, I have to say I use a lot of different forensic products because I do own my own forensic company. So I'm not a one tool and done type of person, and so I have so many different tools. Belkasoft does process cases pretty fast, and I'm not going to throw any other tools out there, but it does process cases very fast. So the next thing that I want to hit on is the appearance. So selecting the appearance tab, it's a nice drop-down list that allows the examiner, no matter what language it is that they speak or read, to pick the language here. And these are just the supported ones. But the next one here is font size. So we were talking and making jokes about this a little bit where Kevin...
There's no joke, man. I'm leaning towards the screen now to see it.
He's actually trying to lean in. So let me go ahead and bump this up for you then, Kevin.
But you can I'll be able to see this here. I'll get you.
You can bump the font size up to make it easier to read instead of being small text on the screen. And the next one, we talked about blue light glasses. So I know there are a few tools out that are doing this at the moment, but Belkasoft X, it gives you the ability to switch between a light and a dark mode. And we're currently in dark mode, so it's cutting out that bright white light and replacing it with that dark background. It's just easier on the eyes. Not saying you don't need to still take breaks, but it does help out a little bit. It'll probably you'll probably notice that it helped out when you can still see at Kevin's age.
Right. I mean, I'm all about dark mode. I've switched almost everything to dark mode. Literally, if you can just look at the reflection of my face, like right now, and then like I have everything dark mode. I got like 2 monitors. I have this big 5K thing and this it's almost 3 foot long that we do editing on over here. But I'm going to switch this just to one of the standard white screens and just watch what it does to my face. Look at that. Just blinds me like just the standard thing. So, I like to I'm all about dark mode. Any software that adds it, let's do it. I love it.
All right. And then the next one I want to point out is pictures. Now, we talked about this a little bit, but people that have to sit and look at this type of stuff every single day, If there's anything that we can do to make that a little bit better for them, we're going to try to do that. So CSAM material, um, you know, pictures that are detected as pornography here inside Belksoft X. If you do the analysis of pictures and search for pornography or skin, so you can actually choose blur pictures that are detected as pornography. Now, I understand people who are 100% dedicated to looking at this type of stuff, like say ICAC task force or something. They have to look at this stuff. I
Yeah.
understand that blurring the image, it's not beneficial to their investigation because they have to look at every detail of the picture to try to figure out, some sort of clue in the background of that picture that may point them in the right direction to tackle the sicko who's taking these pictures or whatever, right? So for the typical examiner, though, who doesn't necessarily have to look at this all the time, as long as it's kind of detected, and I can show you some examples. You can tell it's still what's going on in the background, but you don't actually have to see it, right? It's just a blurred image. A really great feature is the do not blur faces that are detected as pornography. So if you need
Wow,
to
that's
see
crazy.
who is in the picture without uh, unblurring the entire picture, you can select that checkbox and it'll leave the faces unblurred. So you can see the individual or individuals in the pictures. Right above here, you'll see a face detection and skin detection. The less, medium, and more. These are your sensitivity levels. Some tools give you percentages. In this tool, we give you 3 options. It's like, hey, don't show me a whole lot, show me a little, and then show me all the false positives. So those are your sensitivity levels within the tool. So as far as the settings and stuff go, that's really what we have for like picture analysis, how to help with the kind of mental stressors. Because I know I don't have to look at that kind of stuff when I'm doing my investigations typically. So the fact that I can come in here and check blur pictures, that's great.
Yeah, that's really great for, excuse me, for like you mentioned, the non, ICAC folks, or what I would call the corporate uh, folks that you know you don't need some of to ever see some of that stuff. And I know, obviously the examiners here, if you have dealt with, I warn new examiners and say, look, you're going to see stuff that you never knew existed. So if you don't need to see it, man, this is a great feature. That the fact, and if you're ever doing an examination where for some reason I'm being investigated for being in a Speedo competition, it'll really help with with that too. I would recommend highly that you turn that on. Well, no, that's great.
Yeah, and just kind of show what that looks like after you do the analysis of pictures. You'll see here the different types of pictures that analysis that's supported.
Okay.
So there is the face detection, and then there's also facial grouping of the faces. So what that does is it does similarities between the faces and groups them. So it'll be like face 1, face 2, face 3, and it'll combine the faces. So if you're looking for one individual person, their face detection is not going to be spread out throughout the entire list of pictures. And you were talking about, say thousands. It looks like here we have just under 9,000 images in this particular case. But you can see the different things that are supported here. So like face, gun, pornography, skin, and text.
Mm-hmm.
So the text, that's the OCR, that recognition in 50 different languages. So if we selected text here, right, we could see like this page. Go to item text, and all the text was then pulled out of the picture. So if there was, say, a screenshot or something, instead of trying to read through all of these pictures that have words on them, right, but we know what we're looking for, we can do a keyword search after we've analyzed pictures for the text, and it will actually pick up on the text that was pulled out of the picture. So save you time that way as well for analyzing.
Yeah. Now, this would have been awesome when I was still doing exams. And to me, it sounds like this is some new technology. I don't know how long it's been out, but this is freaking awesome that you can do this. How accurate do we find it? Because we know it's software, and Belksoft does a phenomenal job at this. But I know there's always that little room for errors. Do you find it's pretty much spot on with a lot of it, or is there issues with font on this, but man, that would save a lot of having to go through this nonsense.
Yeah, so you're not going to get it's nothing's ever going to be 100%, especially when it comes to software. So clicking this book, you can see it. I said 50 different languages. So if I look at a preview of this picture, pop it up. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Here we go. You can see that's not English. So let me go ahead and drop that picture back out. Look back at the item text. You can see that it did a pretty good job of pulling it out and placing it in here. But again, it's not going to be. You can't guarantee things are perfect, right?
Sure,
but it does a really good job. And just to kind of show you something, let's click. What do we got here? Skin, right? Now you will see the skin detection, and you'll see a couple pictures that are not skin, but they match the criteria of skin. So like this guy, what's this guy? That's not skin. It's a dog eating Cheetos or something. But it does a pretty good job of pulling out pictures that have skin in them. And again, I don't remember what I had my sensitivities level set to. But that's the thing too. You
right.
Definitely use the product and then verify. So that's one thing we definitely have to do. Like if I select pornography, not quite pornography, but somehow it met the the standard of the pornography recognition. And it take it like regular expression. You set up regular expression to meet a specific criteria. It doesn't matter if what you're looking for was actually found, if it met that criteria, right? So if I'm looking for IP addresses, it could show me something that's not an IP address, but it kind of it matches the criteria of what an IP address could be.
Right.
So it's just something like that. You just got to take it with a grain of salt, but know that this is here to help you and kind of put you, 100 feet in front of your investigation, at least a really good starting point of where to go from there.
Sure. I mean, it's like any tool that you use, like you had mentioned, you need to verify, and it does a phenomenal job of reducing the amount of nonsense that you actually do have to look at. And you're going to get false positives. I think that's pretty standard in the industry, and everyone just accepts that for what it is. And I don't think anyone looks down upon that. It's just the fact of nature. But the fact that you can reduce that, really reduce your image load that you're looking at, man, that's got to be pretty awesome. Does anyone in chat? I'm just curious. Have you used any similar technologies, or maybe this technology from Belkasoft in your exams to kind of help limit the image and find what you're looking for a little bit better? And Jared, I'll then pass it back and let you continue here in this explanation.
Yeah, so this is kind of the last thing that I wanted to stress on within Belkasoft X. We were talking about speeding up our investigation. A lot of times we are giving a keyword list probably after we've already processed the image. In some products, you will have to reprocess the image with the keyword list in order to process that. You can simply add the keyword list here, just browse to it, and you can choose to treat it as regular expression to match a specific criteria if it's not a specific search term. You can also search individually for a word or phrase across all of the artifacts within the product, and then predefined search. So this is kind of what I was talking about, speeding up. So what we have here is a kind of centralized database of all of these predefined searches. So you don't know exactly what you're looking for, but you kind of have an idea of what you're supposed to be looking for. We do have these predefined searches that are here to help speed up your investigation. And not only that, but say I've got a bunch of data sets loaded. I've got E01 files, Android backups, iPhone backups, virtual machines, you name it. I can load pretty much anything into Belkasoft X for analysis. And I can say, okay, well, what I'm specifically looking for, I really only want to look for on this Android backup. So now select the types of artifacts to search for. This is going to be narrowed down to only the artifacts that were found on that Android backup. So if I know I'm only looking for, say, for contacts, chats, and calls, now I'm filtering only for those 3 artifacts, only from that data set. So I'm not wasting time searching my entire image for some sort of search term. So that's just another way that can speed up. And then, finally, creating a report. If you have to include pictures that were detected as pornography on your report, you can choose to blur the images on your report as well. So whoever's reading that report does not have to look at those images.
Heck yeah. I mean, really, the software has come such a long way to really make the examiner's life easier, and then help us limit the scope down essentially to what we're finding. And in this case, obviously limit some of the nastiness that we have to look at occasionally, which is unfortunate. Does anyone else have questions? We'll open it up for questions for Jarrett, and anything to do with what you've seen so far or talk about, or like to hear this topic maybe elaborated on a little bit more. But if you guys have stuff too that you want to share with the group, please do. I have a poll that I forgot to run here about what type of digital investigations that you're doing here. I'm going to kick that on, and I think it pops up on everybody's screen. I don't see it that way just because I'm in the command center here of it all. And I think I have it set. You can answer multiple ones. You don't have to just pick one to do it. And anymore, I put mobile and computer together. When I was doing exams, they were fairly separate, but now I think they're pretty much hand in hand. If you're doing one, you're doing the other. Is that still the case? I don't know. But it's interesting. But the results for the other poll about Cyber Social Hub, and again, this is where you can find some of these answers too. Over in the hub, start a conversation, guys. Don't be afraid to engage, because a lot of you that have come to these these events obviously are chatty and don't have any issues giving me a rough time, which we actually like. There's that weird cop still in me, and that if you're not making fun of me, then you must hate me at that point. Or some weird, I think it's just all services in general that do that. But that's what this is for, is to, if you're having an issue with even stress, find somebody you trust in there and message them, and, reach out and engage for sure. I know Jarrett's in the hub. He hangs out in there. I see him log in and lurk every so often. But, just pop in and say hello. That's what really this is for, is to get you guys engaging back and forth so we can deal with these types of issues. Let me think here. I don't see any other questions for Jarrett.
I've got one here. Harvey had, it says, is your workstation a special build, and from whom, or a high-end gaming type config? So you actually don't need anything special for at least to run this specific software. Obviously, for a forensic investigation, just in general, anything that's got high processing performance is really going to do you good. I'd say, purchase what you can afford and make it work. It may just take a little bit longer if it's it doesn't have the highest processing power, but you don't need anything special, and you don't need to go out and buy the the highest end processing engines or laptops to make this work. When I first started doing my investigations, I was doing it on a really, really old laptop. And it took an extremely long time. And so I eventually upgraded, but you can do it. Just, it's going to take some time.
The finest government lowest bidder wins, right?
That's right. Or the highest price contract,
Right. Again, that's a joke, people. I always get an email like, "Hey, you said that." I'm like, guys, you got to realize that 95% of stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm messing with you. You'll get to know that if you ever come back to one of these things. But we try to have these every so often. So yeah, Doug says there's some great features in there, and what Jared said is you really don't need a high-end machine. They do help, especially depending on what you're doing. Like I used to do a lot of crypto stuff, and not cryptocurrency, but it's like cracking passwords and things of that nature. And we had to have hefty graphics processors. Well, I started before they figured that out, but once it switched over to graphics, you got to have a specialized machine. It's just it really depends on what you're doing. But for average, as he said, average everyday exams, the smaller cases, you don't need anything huge. It's going to take you a minute, but you don't. And it does reduce stress when things go better and you're not waiting. Like if you click to see artifacts and you don't have to wait 5 seconds for it to actually pop up. 5 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're flipping multiple screens waiting for this to happen, you'll trash your machine. What's that? What was that show? Office, when they beat the machines up?
Yeah, when they take the printer outside.
Yeah. The Office Space, right? Quick, because Office Space is one of my things. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, the red stapler. If anyone knows, yeah. Whose red stapler was this? We want to see it in chat if anyone knows. And Megan, you're banned from answering this if you're hiding in the background there. So, yeah, there it is.
Harvey, yes, I am on LinkedIn. I believe my LinkedIn and Twitter are in. I don't know if my bio is visible in here. If not, I can pull them and throw them in the chat.
Yeah, so go ahead and throw those and pull them into chat while I give another shameless plug. While you're doing that, you can find also Jared in Harvey. He's in Cyber Social Hub, and I know you are as well in there. So yeah, feel free to connect there. And kind of the reason the hub exists is just kind of, the more and more I'm in LinkedIn, the more and more I'm in Twitter, which I'm still in every social media platform. It's gotten a lot noisier there. And sometimes I like to see only digital forensic stuff or digital investigation stuff. And that's really where I come over to Hub to try to find stuff. But getting people to engage, it's a little challenging sometimes, but I hope you guys will eventually come around. No one answered my, oh, wait a minute. My chat's not rolling there. There it is. I had to scroll. And my chat wasn't going here. Milton, you got it. Did you Google that? It is Milton. Absolutely. It's Milton who had the red stapler. Jared's putting all of his links to his social in there so you can cyber stalk him later on.
Yep. And that's all I have. I have Twitter and LinkedIn.
Okay. All the OSINT people in the room we're doing full exams on you right now.
Send it.
Making sure. Yeah, it's funny. I went to that OSINT conference last week and I come back and I see all these people looking at my profiles and stuff. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden you have a new appreciation for privacy.
Right.
I think we forget that sometimes, just how much of our information is out and about when we do stuff like this.
Oh, you even got the actor's name in there? Great goodness. You guys are like uber nerds. I thought I was like nerdy and liking it. That's awesome. But hey, and we'll wait for any last minute questions that may pop in. But Jared, thanks. I know you jetted off from a couple things that you had going on today to come over and talk with us. So I really appreciate you taking the time, and Belkasoft for allowing you to come on for them. We really appreciate it. We like to have these conversations all the time. So if you are interested in ever coming back and yapping about a different topic, we would love to have you back on there. And I think this topic had I was getting some private messages saying some people wanted to kind of explore these things more. So, maybe it's something we can do later on down the road. And
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And, thanks for making it so easy to talk. It's really easy to talk about, stuff that we're passionate about. And like Kevin was saying, I'm in Cyber Social Hub. I threw my links in for my social media accounts. If you guys just want to talk really about anything or have specific questions, or you want to, ask some questions about the product, hit me up. It doesn't have to be about the product either. I'm just to chat if you want. All
right, man. Awesome. So you just invited a whole bunch of stalkers into you, like Doug and Harvey. I will guarantee will be the first one. Hey, Britt is in there too. I didn't see him the whole time. Never mind. So, Jared, again, thank you so much for hanging out. We really appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, find him in the hub. You can stalk him there, ask him as many questions as you like. And until we have the next one of these, we'll see you guys later. Jared, thanks again. I appreciate it.
All right, bro.